Welcome back. It's Mush Love from the Mushroom. My name is Jer. That's Dan. Together, we're Jer and Dan, or Dan and Jer. How you guys doing? It's been like 2-3 weeks since we last saw you. I miss you. I kind of forgot how to do a podcast or how to record or how to talk at all. So bear with me. Be flexible. If I'm a little awkward, my bad. Hopefully there's some fun content that you guys get. Dan, how you doing? How you feel?
Doing phenomenal, feeling reset. Was just telling Jeremy off camera that I had a nice spa day with some friends on Saturday. Lots of cold plunges, lots of saunas, stuff like that. So my body's feeling cleansed, my mental's feeling cleansed, and ready to get back on the Mushmore wave and make sure everyone knows, we got the Mush Love podcast going.
I love it. Sounds awesome to me. My bad. There's a light behind me. I'll try and block it. Sorry if that's awkward. Like I said, we're getting back into it. This one might be a little sloppy, but by next week, we will be professionals again. So what I wanted to talk about a little bit today, and usually what I want to talk about, we sometimes stick with it and sometimes we go off on tangent. A lot of times the tangents I feel are more enjoyable. We just see where the conversations go. But what I wanted to talk about is I feel like more and more are popping up, or maybe it's just I'm more and more aware. There's a lot of kind of apps that are now being put out that help guide your microdose journey or guide your psychedelic journey if you're doing like a macrodose and things like that. So I'm going to try and pull one up in a second, just and then I'll pull up more probably when you talk. So why I've, I guess, been thinking about this a little bit more too is I heard from Mushmore. I kind of have a direct line to the founder. I hear a little things first. We kind of help them out a little bit just to explain to other people, but they're going to be coming out with a psychedelic guide. So they're going to hire someone who will actually like help people throughout their journeys. If they have questions, they'll kind of be a resource for that. So I was doing more research. It's actually a pretty common thing where people put themselves available online. They'll say for $100 a month, let's say, I will walk you through what to do and how to do it. I've never done it, so I don't know exactly how detailed or in-depth it is, but they might help you with sourcing your mushrooms or growing them, and then like how to follow a schedule, what to do when you're not feeling well, how to like analyze what you've been thinking and things like that. There's also another just random one that I like to have commented on before. I think it's called like Fireside or Fire Chat. If you're having a bad trip, you can contact this app. They have a phone number also, and they'll kind of walk you through it and try and bring you back down. So that if you're by yourself and you're having a bad trip, you can kind of get brought back and have that support. I guess to Danny, what do you think about these? And then have you heard of any others that you like? Are there any others that you haven't heard of that you think would be a good idea to try and develop? And what are your thoughts?
Well, I think it's really cool nowadays. My whole world, my whole profession relies a lot on technology and stuff. So there's a lot of times where I demonize, the overconsumption of technology and getting like too lost in it, and people's lives can be reliant on it. But at on the flip end of the coin, there's also so much value when you do integrate technology into, social situations like this, where you're combining plant medicine and these type of ritualistic experiences with, the access of technology. So, you're seeing it more and more, even like, better help and stuff, there's online therapy and things of that nature now, because especially as our world gets more and more, autonomous, and people a lot of the time don't have the ability to go out, or, immunocompromised people in a pandemic. So there's a lot of reasons why it's great to have these remote resources more now than ever. And I think it's cool because if you look at traditional ceremonial plant medicine or anything like that, there's always a guide. There's always normally a support group, not even just one guide. Normally it's a communal thing. It's ceremonial. You do it with a lot of other people. If you look at, like indigenous tribes and how they treat mushrooms, or, various different psychedelic experiences. So I think a lot of people don't have the ability to, have a community that they can confide in about these experiences. That's a lot of like, oh, hush, hush. I would never be able to tell my friends or family. They'd look at me like I'm a degenerate or a drug addict or whatever it might be. And that if they were to open up, it would probably be worse rather than better. They might get shunned. If they were in a vulnerable state, needing a guide while they're having a weird moment in a trip, someone might just say, what, you're tripping, you're this, and then just send them into a really bad spiral, or try to drive them to the hospital, which would probably be the worst thing you could ever do. So yeah, I think it's really amazing that we have these resources. I've never heard of Fireside, but I think that's amazing. I mean, it's just like anything, like, we have suicide hotlines, we have BetterHelp. I mean, why not, make it a little bit more catered to the psychedelic experience when people are having those negative moments.
Exactly. I definitely agree. And I'm sure there's some aspects of them that might not be the best, but it's definitely a start. And it's nice that people are even thinking of developing things to support these and help. So another one I guess I want to talk a little bit about or comment on is it's an app called Trip. And this is actually or Tripped with a D, Tripped. But sorry, am I tripping right now? But,
Yeah.
basically, this is one that I actually have tried. And I feel like I enjoyed it. I definitely don't think it was like the same as like a tripping experience, but I also think technology is moving pretty quickly, and I wouldn't be surprised if eventually it gets a lot closer, and it's at least a great start. But with Tripped, it's on my Oculus. It's like virtual reality. It puts you into these awesome environments where like, right, just that is pretty cool without anything else. And it basically tries to put you through these breathing exercises and like calms you down a little bit. Now that I think about it, I actually have never done it on mushrooms or with microdosing. Something I should probably try and like see how it is different or changes, but it's pretty cool. So one, I like that app a lot. Definitely useful. Something to like add on to a microdose experience is pretty dope. But then what I was thinking, big picture, kind of what I would eventually love to see Mushmore doing. I'm a big fan of the metaverse. So virtual reality, kind of similar to like NFTs, which we've spoken about a little bit before, all this crypto stuff. But the metaverse, I think, is going to be here before we know it. Facebook says they're going to be a metaverse company in 5 years or less. They're not going to be social media anymore. They're going to be a metaverse company. So how is that related to mushrooms, or what am I thinking? I think it'd be cool to have these therapeutic places in the metaverse, again, because it's hard to access, and because so originally people would go to a hospital to take like mushrooms in like the 50s and 60s for the studies. And they realized that was the worst idea possible, because like you have these bright white rooms that just freak people out, right? So now if you do go to a place, they might have like nice curtains and plush pillows and like oil diffusers and dim lights and all of that. That's great. But I feel like mushrooms are so unique and everyone's experience is so different that to be able to modify your room instantaneously and exactly for you would be even more beneficial. So if we have the metaverse, if we have a Mushmore therapy room, we might have a room, when I enter it, it's dark blue because that calms me down a lot. And there's this type of music, and there's also lots of animals, because I like animals. Someone else, you might hate animals, but you might like other stuff, where you come in the room 2 minutes later and it's a completely different room for you. And you can customize these therapy rooms per person. You can kind of have group therapy sessions, again, like with people around the world. I think there's people like me in Philadelphia where I live, but probably not that many, where it'd be nice to connect with people from around the world who are more aligned to what I'm doing. What do you think about that? I know that all sounds a little bit wild, or like most people don't know about the metaverse at all.
I think it's like a lot of, the future of technology. When you look at VR, and it's just the next logical step, it's more immersive and stuff. We look at phone screens or computer screens. It's like, why not just put on this headset and have this, sensory experience occur? And like you're saying, I also think it's cool of how you said the customizability of it, where, one person can have one thing and another, or even one person within the same trip, if they're feeling one type of way and they have the headset on, it's like, all right, this could be my room when I start, but it's like, you know what? I don't like the blue light. Whoa, that animal's kind of staring at me weird. I don't. Right. So at the snap of a finger or whatever, you can completely change your surroundings and probably make it customizable to where the person has control over, some of the details, or maybe there's like a bunch of preset settings and they can kind of just click through and change it at a very quick rate. Because it's like, I'm like that a lot, where when I trip, especially when like microdosing, I'm pretty grounded. But with more macro doses, sometimes I'm like, let's say I'm outside and then I'm loving nature, and then I get just like, especially body temperature for me, like I get cold or something, and I want to be somewhere else. And then I'm like, I want to be on a comfy couch. And then I get to the comfy couch for 30 minutes. I'm like, like I feel bored now. I want to be somewhere. I want to do something. I want to roam around. I want to be out in public or whatever. So I think having these pre-customized things is only going to allow for more positive experiences and trips. Because I think one of the things I've learned is control is a big thing. Not control in the sense of like, domineering, but just being able to, like, when set and setting, you don't want a random cop driving by while you're doing this, or a random character walks into your house that's bringing negative energy. You know what I mean? You need to be able to control as many of those variables as possible to ensure for a good time. And there's always going to be things you can't control, like your emotional patterns, your thought patterns, or whatever that may be. But no, I think that's amazing. And I think we're already seeing a lot of like integrated VR stuff. There's a lot of, like, I see Twitch streamers and stuff, for example. I'm big into like the gaming community. There's something called VR chat, and it's pretty much what you're saying, where it's like everyone puts on their VR headset and they have like a microphone and everything, and then they're in a world where they can all interact and talk, and like their avatars can like emote to each other. And then there's these custom maps that people will make in that VR world, where like maybe they're all just in a cafe talking and chilling, and then it's like, oh, let's go through the portal to, like, there was one that was literally like a trip simulation where it's like you're on like this like traveling like spaceship type thing, and there's crazy lights and all this stuff. So it's like, it's cool that we're already seeing that stuff, and to see, combining what we do have with technology with the more, organic things like plant medicine. It's like that fusion can be really good. It also might be overwhelming. I don't know. I haven't experienced it. It might be like, because a lot of the time I look at a computer screen while I'm on mushrooms. It literally will make me nauseous. I'm like, I don't want to see bright lights. I don't want to see a computer screen. I want to see artificiality and LEDs in my eyes. Could give me a headache. So I don't know from experience, but I do think that more options and more potential is always better than less.
Yeah, I agree. And then another just benefit I just realized or thought of while you're speaking is eventually I wouldn't be surprised if your VR or your phone or whatever is attached to your body or has sensors to check for like vitals and stuff, where if your heart rate goes up too much or your whatever changes too much, it'll contact emergency services, or it'll notify you to chill because you don't want a heart attack or whatever. I feel like that's potential also. Last app I guess I wanted to mention, and then I'm good and done, and I'm feeling great that we're back in the podcast vibe and mode, but is Quantified Citizen. So that's one that is supported by Paul Stamets. It might be his app, or he's like a co-founder of it, whatever, but it's a nice, cool way to track your microdose journey. Has just like questions for you to answer, and places for you to write and all of that, so that you can kind of track your own journey. But it's probably not so useful for the individual. It's probably just as useful to just journal what you're thinking and stuff. But they're aggregating the biggest study of all time on microdosing. So it's helpful for Paul Stamets and for the movement, the future, the industry, where they're going to have thousands of people giving this info, which can only make it better for the future of hopefully we legalize it quicker, or hopefully we have new insights that people haven't discovered yet, can only help. But that's another cool one that I like. It's called Quantified Citizen.
Yeah, I think data collection is huge. I mean, just like we have so many anecdotal experiences, but that doesn't really stand up in, the mainstream when it comes to legalization and lobbying and stuff. People want to see data. And it's like, you could have millions of anecdotal experiences, but it's cool to when they're all putting their anecdotal experiences into something that, is more regimented. And then you have piles and piles of data to prove, hey, like, this is helping thousands and thousands and millions of people. So it's like, why is this illegal? Why is this? And then you have a much more strong case when it comes to the, the legalization aspect and for all that. So, I mean, Stamets, everyone who cares about mushrooms knows that he's the GOAT when it comes to this stuff. So, that's only facilitate, like you said, his own knowledge, and he probably implements that in his grows and his various things and his scheduling of microdosing. So yeah, I think the combination of technology and organic plant medicine is going to be the future. It's inevitable. That fusion is occurring already, and it's going to keep getting more and more integrated, and it's just a matter of keeping the humanity throughout the process while it's going on and not becoming robots. But no, I think we're headed in the right direction, and it's just the logical progression of humanity. You know what I mean? We're gonna keep refining, and it's like, you know, the human algorithm of all of us, of this earth. It's like the technology, we're becoming more and more reliant on it, and it's like, you know, if there was an EMP that hit the whole world tomorrow, I mean, I don't know, it'd be pretty chaotic. We're, you know, banking everything, it relies on technology. So it's interesting to see, you know, keep moving forward, and, you know,
Definitely.
So, yeah.
I certainly agree. I think that about wraps up our time for the Mushroom. As always, it's much love. If you comment on our YouTube and then we see it, and there's more than 2 people who do it. If there's only 2 people, this is not going to be a contest. But as long as more than 2 people comment, we're going to choose someone, and Mushmore is going to send you a free month of a flavor of your choice. So please like, subscribe, comment. Let us know if you want to be on the show too. We'd love to talk to you. And hopefully we see you again very soon. We'll see you again next week. We will be weekly for the rest of the year. Love you, Danny. Love everyone. Last words, Dan.
Much love. That's all I got to say.
Baby. Peace out.